Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. Today's tutorial is cozy with a twist. We're making a cropped ribbed turtleneck sweater, complete with fitted sleeves and built-in thumbhole cuffs for that perfect mix of comfort and edge. It's warm, stylish, and a total staple for layering or lounging. If you're new here, welcome. I share modern crochet patterns and tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday, so tell a friend, tap the bell, and subscribe so you never miss an upload. And if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up if you like it or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to support the channel and help keep these tutorials free. So without further ado, here's how to make your own cropped turtleneck with thumbhole cuffs. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 365 grams of yarn. That's 820 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 6mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and stick to the end of the video to hear about this week's pattern giveaway. We're using 3 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, and extended half double crochet. This tutorial is made for a size small. You can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this sweater started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 6mm hook and start off by making a chain that starts from the top of our shoulder down to like the bottom of the sweater to be. So this can be cropped or full length. I'd like for mine to be cropped, so I'm going to start by making a chain 45. That's just about 13 inches or 33 centimeters. And this portion of my piece is already completed, so I'm just going to be doing a small sample size with you. Now that we have our chain, we're all going to block off that last chain and start with a chain 3. That chain 3 doesn't count as a stitch, that's a turning chain. Then we're going to start with an extended half double crochet. So yarn over, into that chain that we blocked off, or the 4th chain from our hook, we're going to insert, yarn over, and pull through to get 3 loops on our hook. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through just that first loop on our hook to get 3 loops on our hook again, then yarn over, pull through 3 again. Once more, we're going to yarn over, into that following chain, insert your hook, and pull through. When we have these 3 loops on our hook, we're going to yarn over, pull through just that first loop on our hook, still giving us 3 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through all 3. From here, continue with 1 extended half double crochet into every chain. Our row 1 is now complete. Now for the rest of the shoulder portion, it's going to be more extended half double crochets all within the back loops. So to get started on the following row, chain 3, that is our turning chain, flip our work. Starting with the yarn over again, into that first stitch from our previous row, insert in through that back loop, yarn over, pull through to get 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, pull through 3. Once more, yarn over, into that next stitch's back loop, or the loop that's furthest away from us, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3. From here, continue with 1 back loop, extended half double crochet into the rest of our stitches. And all we're going to do from here is continue to repeat this row, so no increases and no decreases, until we now have a portion that can reach from 2 inches past the tip of our shoulder all the way to the side of the base of our neck. I'll meet everyone back right after an even number row, then we can get started on the neckline together. We are back. My shoulder portion is complete. I have a total of 14 rows. My width is just about 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters that is unstretched. Now we're going to get started on our neckline. First things first, we're going to put this up to ourselves, making sure that the tail end is staying at the top of our shoulder. Then we're going to insert our stitch marker into any even numbered stitch from the top that is nearest to the base of our neck. Now, as a really quick tip, when we're placing the stitch marker stitch, we do want to make sure that we're placing it right beneath the base of our neck. We don't want this too low because we don't want the sweater to ride up. So if you can, insert your stitch marker right at the base of our neck, because we are going to have this same little cutout for the neckline for the back as well. So if it looks a little too small, remember it'll be okay because we are going to have this same little cutout for the back panel as well. Now I've inserted my stitch marker into the 8th stitch from the top, remembering the top is where the tail end is. That's just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. Now to do our following row, since we should all be along the bottom, we're going to chain 3, flip our work. 1 back loop, extended half double crochet into every stitch until we reach our stitch marker. We have just completed our first neckline row. Now once we have reached our stitch marker, all we're going to do is chain 3, flip our work, and 1 back loop extended half into every stitch again. So this neckline portion isn't going to have any increases or decreases either. All we're going to do is continue to repeat this row until we now have a portion that can reach across our chest to the other side of the base of our neck. Then I'll meet everyone back right after an odd number row so that we'll be along the top, then we can work straight into the second shoulder together from there. We have just completed our neckline. I now have a total of 25 rows. My width is roughly 13.5 inches or 34 centimeters unstretched. Now for here, since we all should have ended after an odd number row so that we'll be along the top, we're all going to make a chain for the same amount of stitches that we skipped when we got started on our neckline. I skipped a total of 8 stitches, so on this side I'm going to make a chain 8. Then we're going to extended half double crochet all the way back down. Now that we have our chain, we're all going to block off that last chain and do a chain 3. That chain 3 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then yarn over and into the 4th chain from our hook, insert with 1 extended half double crochet, that is per usual. From here, put 1 extended half double crochet into every chain. Then once we reach the body, 1 back loop extended half double crochet into every stitch. Then I will meet you back at the end of the row. We are back. Our first shoulder row is completed. From here, all we're going to do is continue to repeat our back loop extended half double crochet rows with no increases and no decreases for the same amount of rows that we have for our first shoulder portion. When we have that completed, do a chain up of 1 and cut, then I'll meet everyone back. We have just completed our second shoulder portion. I now have a total of just about 17.5 inches or 44 centimeters unstretched. Now once we have one panel completed, we're going to be making a second that is exactly the same. Once we have our second panel completed, I will meet everyone back so we can seam up the shoulders together. So when both of our panels are completed, we're going to place them on top of each other. We're going to insert our hook into the top corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We're then going to pull our working yarn through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. And working into both the front and the back panel at the same time, we're going to be putting 2 single crochets into every side row. So finding our first side row, this is mine right here, I'm going to find that top loop and insert with 1. Same top loop within the back panel and insert with 1 as well. Then we're going to single crochet everything together. Once more into that same top loop within the front and back. It should be a little bit easier since everything is already gathered for us. Insert with a single. Once more, next side row within the front panel, insert into that top loop. Next side row within the back panel, insert with 1 single crochet, then into that same top loop within both the front and the back panel with a second. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut, then repeat on the other side. We have just completed seaming up the shoulders. Now we're going to work on our turtleneck next. So first things first, we're going to make sure that the work is flipped right side out, right side up, meaning the seam that we just did is now along the inside. Then we're going to insert our hook into any one of the stitches that we have along the neckline. So I just inserted mine in the stitch that's nearest to my shoulder seam. Then all we're going to do is put 1 single crochet into every stitch, 2 single crochet into every side row, same way that we did our shoulder seam. Since we already know how to do the single crochet row, I'm going to let you guys do this on your own. But as a really quick tip, once when the single crochet row is completed, what we're going to do is try our piece on. If it's a little too loose, we do some stitches with a tighter grip, or if it's too tight, we do some stitches with a looser grip. So we have just completed single crocheting along the entirety of our collar. Now from here, we're going to make a chain the length that we'd like for the turtleneck to be, keeping in mind that it will fold in on itself as well. Now I'd like for the total length of my turtleneck to be just about 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters. So right after we slip stitched in that chain space, I'm going to make a chain 25. And I will be doing just a small sample size with you for this portion. So now that we have our chain, we're all going to do a slip stitch row. So start by blocking off that last chain and do a chain 1. Now that chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Into that chain that we blocked off with the second chain from our hook, we're all going to insert with a slip stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, and gently pull through everything on our hook. That is our first slip stitch. Let's do that again. Into that next chain, we're going to insert, yarn over, and gently pull through everything. And we want to make sure that we're not tugging too tightly after every stitch, otherwise the following row will be a little too tight to work into. But all we're going to do from here is continue with 1 slip stitch into every chain. We've just made our way down with our row 1. Now we're going to connect it into the base. Now all we're going to do is just find that next available stitch into the base and slip stitch into there. So the base is our single crochet row. This is my next available stitch. So I'm just going to insert my hook in through there, yarn over, and gently pull through everything on our hook. Now that slip stitch into the base doesn't actually count as a stitch, that's just to connect. Then also we're going to work our way up to the following row. So we're going to slip stitch up that following stitch into the base as well. That slip stitch into the base still doesn't count as a stitch, and now we're going to flip our work. And now put one back loop slip stitch into every stitch. So finding the last stitch from our previous row, not working into any of those slip stitches into the base, we're going to find that last stitch, insert into that back loop, and again, yarn over, gently pull through everything on our hook. Again, next stitch is back loop, insert, yarn over, and gently pull through everything, and continue with one back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Then at the end of the row, chain one, flip our work. Continue with one back loop slip stitch into every stitch again, working down towards the base. Then I'll meet everyone back at the end of our row 3. We have just completed our row 3. Now we're going to connect it into the base the same way that we did our previous row. So just finding that next available stitch into the base, we're going to insert with a slip stitch. Now that slip stitch into the base still doesn't count as a stitch. Then just to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch up that following stitch into the base, flip our work, and repeat. Now all we're going to do from here is continue to repeat our 2 previous rows with no increases, no decreases, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I'll meet everyone back so we can seam it all together. So we are back. We have made our way all the way around with our back loop slip stitch rows for our turtleneck. Now from here we're going to seam it up together. So making sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up, we're going to insert our hook into the top corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Then we're going to pull our working yarn through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Now we're going to do an outside loop slip stitch seam. So finding that first stitch into the front panel, we're going to insert only in through that front loop. First stitch into the back panel, insert only in through that back loop, yarn over, and pull through everything on our hook. Again, next stitch into the front panel, insert only in through that front loop. Next stitch into the back panel, insert only in through that back loop, yarn over, and gently pull through everything, and continue on with this until we don't have any more stitches left. When we don't, do a chain of 1 cut. Our turtleneck is all seamed up. Now we're going to get started on the side seam, then our sleeve. So making sure that our work is flipped wrong side out, meaning the seam that we did for the shoulder is along the outside, we're going to insert our stitch marker into any stitch from the top for the width that we'd like for the sleeve to be. I'd like for mine to be a comfy sleeve, so I inserted my stitch marker into the 22nd stitch from the top. That's just about 5.5 inches or 11 centimeters. Then we're going to insert our hook into the bottom corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We're then going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Then a single crochet seam until we reach our stitch marker. So finding that first stitch into the front panel, insert, first stitch into the back panel, insert, and then we're going to single crochet around everything. So pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Once more, next stitch into the front, next stitch into the back, then single crochet, then continue on with this until we reach our stitch marker. Once we reach our stitch marker, do a chain up of 1 and cut, then repeat on the other side. Now that we have just completed seaming up our sides, we're then going to get started on our sleeve. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up. Then we're going to insert our hook into the stitch that we have that's nearest to our side seam within the armhole, and we're just going to do an extended half double crochet row all the way around. So once our hook is into place, we're then going to do a chain 3. That chain 3 doesn't count as a stitch. Then just do the first one, yarn over, into that first stitch into the armhole, insert with an extended half double crochet, and that's pretty much it for this row. Continue making your way all the way around with 1 extended half double crochet into every stitch, then I'll meet you back at the end of the row. We've just made our way around with our first row. Now to close off the row together, we're going to count up that chain 3 that we made when we started off this row. So here's 1, 2, 3. Into that third chain that we made, we're going to insert with a slip stitch. Now as a quick tip, that slip stitch is just to connect the end to the beginning of the row. It is going to look like a stitch, but it's not actually going to count as a stitch. But once when our first row is connected, we're going to chain 3, flip our work, and from here we're just going to put 1 back loop extended half double crochet into every stitch. And just continue on with this extended half double crochet row, no increases, no decreases, until we reach our elbow. I have reached my elbow. Now we're going to do just a few decreases. But just to let you know, I have 16 rows, that's just about 8.5 inches or 22 centimeters. And now to do our decrease row, chain 3 and flip. All we're going to do is start and end the row with a decrease. So yarn over, into that first stitch's back loop, insert, pull through. Into that next stitch's back loop, pull through for a total of 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops on our hook, giving us 3 loops on our hook still, then yarn over, pull through all 3, and that is our decrease. Then continue on with the row per usual, so 1 back loop extended half into every stitch, leaving the last 2 stitches. We made our way around with the first decrease row, leaving the last 2 stitches. Now we're going to close off the row with a decrease as well, so yarn over, into that second to last stitch is back loop, pull through, into that next stitch is back loop, pull through for a total of 4 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through the first 2 only to get 3 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through 3. That is our decrease row, and we're going to connect it the same way that we've been doing, so just slip stitch into that 3rd chain. Now from here, we're going to do this decrease into any row that we'd like until our sleeve hits our wrist. So this decrease row doesn't need to be in any particular sequence or row number, just decrease into any row that gives you the fit that you'd like. Then I'll meet you back once when our sleeve hits our wrist, and when my sleeve is completed, I'll meet you back to tell you which rows I decreased into. Now the length of my sleeve is completed. I now have a total of 29 rows. Now, the decrease rows that I did was my 17th, 19th, 21, 23rd, and 29th row. Now what we're going to do from here is now get started on our cuff, which is going to be done pretty much exactly the same way as our turtleneck. So I'm actually just going to talk you guys through it. All we're going to do right after that last row is make a chain the length that we'd like for the cuff to be, and if you guys would like for it to be a thumb hole as well, we do need the thumb hole to pass our thumb, so I would say make a chain that reaches roughly at about mid-palm. Now for me, that's going to be a chain of 3 inches or 5 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 15. Then we're going to do back loop slip stitch rows exactly the same way that we did our turtleneck. Go ahead and do that, making your way all the way around, then I'll meet you back to seam it, which is also where the thumb hole is. We've just made our way all the way around with our back loop slip stitch rows. Now I don't have any more stitches left to work into, so now we're going to seam it together, and we are going to insert our thumb hole at the same time. So from here, what we're going to want to do is try our piece on, making sure that our last sleeve row is at our wrist. We are going to insert our stitch markers into the stitches that frame the base of our thumb. Now for those of you that have my numbers, I've went ahead and inserted my stitch marker into the 4th stitch from the base and also into the 4th stitch from the outer edge. Then from here, we're going to do the same outside loop slip stitch seam that we did for the turtleneck. So making sure that our work is flipped right side out, we're going to insert our hook into the corner stitches of both the front and the back panel. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through everything on our hook, and do a chain up of 1 just to secure. And just to do the first one, we're going to find that first stitch into the front panel, insert only in through that front loop. First stitch into the back panel, insert only in through that back loop. Then yarn over, pull through everything. We're going to continue doing this outside loop slip stitch seam until we reach our stitch marker, then do a chain up 1 and cut. Now we've just completed the first half of our seam where we reached our stitch marker and did a chain up 1 and cut. Now we're going to do the same thing, but making sure that our work is still flipped right side out, right side up. We're going to insert our hook into the 2 stitches into the base, then do our same outside loop slip stitch seam until we reach this stitch marker. Then we should leave a little hole for us. Do a chain up 1 and cut, then do everything that we did here on the other side. We have just completed both of our cuffs, and now we are all done. The last thing we have to do is simply weave in all of our ends. And there you have it, y'all. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us if you prefer a savory or a sweet breakfast. Savory all the way for me. Details for the giveaway down below. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch you on the next one. Bye!